Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fantasy Showdown, presented by Farmers Insurance. I'm your host, Alan Cavana, and this is the show where we help you out with your fantasy team, so you can get all those points.
Well, we try.
Well, we try, yes.
We try.
We have our experts
Mostly
here.
listen to us two.
Well, we'll do it
Ford,
again.
don't worry about
These
that.
are our experts. NASCAR
Sup,
numbers
dude?
man, Mike Ford. How you doing?
I'm doing great because Marty Snyder's here, and he is my favorite expert to beat.
Marty Snyder.
Well, you didn't catch the end of it. Favorite expert to beat. So since that never happens, then it never happens, and it's just a sad day for Mike Ford.
This is a dream.
Let's look at the points. Matt Dillner won last week.
Who finished second?
Smoked us all, 425 points. Marty Snyder had a good week.
Did you even play last
We've had
week,
a few
Ford?
down weeks.
Oh,
so.
wait, there you are.
Mike Ford in 6, and let me point out,
Man
Paulie
alive.
Haraka picked some great picks last week, didn't put them in his lineup, and he finished
Did he fall
dead
asleep?
last.
He
And
has that magic
because
8
he
ball.
finished dead last, Marty Snyder, the man to my left, is now back on top
Yeah,
of
I'm
the
not
league
so
points.
excited about winning the regular season championship
It's
anymore,
okay.
to be honest. I need chase points
It's
is
still
what I need.
important to be on
That's
top
the
of the
only
board.
thing you have in common with Jimmy Johnson.
Mike Ford would love to be there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mike Ford would love to be
Even
where
I
you
want
are right
things
now
in
in
common with
Ford.
Jimmy Johnson.
All right, so those are the standings. That's where we set up with one more race to go before the chase here in the fantasy standings as well.
right.
We reset them all, so wins are important. So these two need wins, so do you.
I do.
They're going to help you out. Every week we do some picks. We're going to start with our fantasy studs for Richmond. Marty Snyder, who do you have to have in your lineup?
I'm going to go with that famous French driver, Clint Boyer, because he's very good at this type of racetrack. Granted, he won this race last year on fuel mileage. He wasn't really the fastest car. They had a good car last year in this race, but they were very strong in the spring at Richmond, finished second there. So I'm going to go with Clint Boyer. And I like him, Alan, as a value guy, because normally if you're going with that stud, you pick a Jimmy Johnson or a Kyle Busch. They cost you a lot of money. Boyer's a little cheaper than those guys, so he's a nice pick this weekend.
Marty Snyder using some logic, needs that win, so do you. Who's your fantasy stud?
I am spending that money on Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch
very
right in the
nice.
hot hand. Obviously won at Atlanta. Fantastic at Richmond. Won here on his birthday. One of 3 drivers to do that. 10 of the last 11 races, he scored a driver rating over 98.0. He's very good here in the top 3 in driver rating. So I love Kyle Busch this weekend.
Sticking with the favorite,
I
Kyle
usually
Busch.
argue with Loop Dog, but I cannot argue with that
Hard to
one.
argue with Kyle Busch at Richmond. Now we're going on to fantasy dud. This is not necessarily a bad driver, but a driver who's not going to get you the finish you need, especially at Richmond. Who are you staying away from?
All right, my dud this weekend is one who really needs a win. It's Brad Keslowski. He's good everywhere, really, since winning the championship, but not at Richmond. Has 0 laps led here. His best finish is only 7th. Needs a win. That's the only way he can get in the chase if he gets that win. Richmond's not a good place for him to make the chase this weekend.
And Keselowski was confident. I think they did some testing there, and he was
Yeah, they
really,
did.
he was really, wanted to take that pressure and do something with it. So he's staying away from him, though. Who are you staying away from?
I was going to say it's funny we're picking 2 guys who tested there for our duds this weekend, but I'm going to go with Martin Truex Jr. He talked about after the Atlanta race how painful it was to drive that race. His wrist was killing him, and plus he has not been good at Richmond his entire career. 1 top 10 in his last 10 races there. The pressure of the chase, the hurt wrist. I just don't think it's a good weekend for Martin Truex Jr., so I am avoiding him on my fantasy team this weekend.
All right, now we're moving on to
More
a pick.
logic, by the way.
Well, logic,
Check
numbers,
that out.
One of them will work. Now we're moving on to a pick that could make or break your fantasy team. We call it our Farmers Insurance Plan to Perform pick. It's a driver that'll give you some value. Maybe, it's a cheaper driver that'll get you a top 10. So, Marty, who is your plan to perform pick for Richmond?
I plan for Jeff Burton to perform this weekend. He has been very good lately. If you'll notice, RCR kind of picked up the pace the last few weeks. But at Richmond, Jeff Burton has been strong his entire career. Strong of late. He's going to be a very nice value add this weekend. I would pick, if I were you, Jeff Burton on your fantasy team this weekend.
Mike Ford, this could be the pick that changes everything, get you those bonus points you need. Who's
All
your
right,
plan to
bonus
perform
points.
pick?
I love Mark Martin this weekend. I'm going to get bonus points at him. Has had fastest laps run in each of the last 11 races. 3 of his last 4 finishes at Richmond were in the top 10. I think you're looking at a good top 10 finish out of Mark Martin here.
Overall, Martin hasn't been that great in the 14 yet, so maybe is that a risky pick or you like it?
It's a little bit risky, but this is a plan to perform.
It's
He's
a lot
planning.
risky. Well, hey, but maybe that's why he finishes 8th every week. Just saying.
Oh.
I'm just kidding, Luke
low
Dog.
blow.
Just kidding. I love you. I'm bantering with him because we have a fantasy football draft tonight, and he picks before me. So I'm trying
All
to be
sorts
nice
of
to him.
stuff going
Trying
on.
to get me off my game. Not going to happen.
Well, there's some advice for you. It's the last weekend in the regular season, so take it for what you can and get that win. Thank you for watching Fantasy Showdown. We post our fantasy update the morning of the race. You can make all those last-minute changes, and you can always go to NASCAR.com/fantasy. For Mike Ford, for Marty Snyder, I'm Alan Cavana. Have a great one.
I need a win. I need a win.